This is probably going to be a rather long oil filter video. I got 4 filters this time. Got a Motorcraft FL1995. This is meant to go on a 7.3 Powerstroke, but it's what I've been running on my 7.3 IDI. It's got about 3,500 miles of 1540 Rotella T oil in it. Have to punch a hole in it to drain it, because that holds about a quart by itself, plus you got another quart in the oil cooler above it. This is a Bosch Distance Plus off my S10 Blazer. It's got about 3,000 miles of Mobli 1 1030 full synthetic. This is got a K&N. It's a HP 1010 off a 2006 Infiniti M45. This has about 7,000 to 8,000 miles with 530 Mobli 1 full synthetic oil in it. This is probably going to be the nastiest one. It's a Purolator L20195. It came off that Kawasaki motor right there. And it has had water in it and stuff. It's probably about 4 years old. So I guess we'll get to cutting them open and see what's inside. Well, I got all 4 filters cut apart and laid out, as you can see. Let's start with the Canon. You got the front side of it where it screws onto the engine. You got the rubber O-ring. I don't think it's silicone on this one. You got a silicone anti-drain back valve. Which goes on, yeah, it goes on like that. You can see it's fairly tight. Then you got the filter element, which is in very good condition and fairly strong, considering it's got 8,000 miles on it. And this is the bypass valve, which sits in the bottom of the filter element. That, and you got the spring, goes in the bottom, and everything goes together into the casing. This K&N filter housing is by far the thickest of all 3 filters. It took the longest to cut apart, and you can see just how hard it is compared to the Bosch. So let's go on to the Purolator. This one kind of felt, we've got the 2-piece front, get the thin sheet metal piece with the rubber gasket, and you got a thick steel piece under it. There's the actual threads in it for where it threads on. These go together just like that. You got your rubber anti-drain back valve, which is still fairly soft and seals fairly well, you can see. So then you got your filter element. This is kind of crushed up because I had to cut the housing sideways because it was all crushed and I couldn't get it apart. As you can see, fairly clean inside, considering it's got like 4 years sitting outside full of water. There's the element. It's fairly soft like cardboard because it's really old, but it's a decent filter. You got the bypass valve right there, which is fairly solid. Show you that. Takes a fair amount of force to open it. And then you got your leaf spring in the bottom that holds it pressed up against the top so it seals. Now for the Bosch, you got your front piece, which is also a 2-piece design with a thin sheet metal outer and a solid steel inner piece with the threads. The reason for this is it's the way they seal these, they crimp the housing around this, and it's much harder to crimp this thick steel, so they just put like this thin sheet metal piece, which is then crimped to the housing, and this is just pressed in between it. So you got your silicone anti-drain back valve, which surprisingly it's not held up that good. This filter says on the box is good for like 10 to 15,000 miles. It only has 3,000, this particular one on it. You can see just how loose it is. And the other thing is this filter has already failed. These end caps, they're glued on with epoxy, and this one here, you can see, falls right off. The seal, where the epoxy has sealed this metal cap on, has failed and it's coming apart. So yeah, the Bosch Distance Plus filter, it's a fairly decent filter. It's nice and solid. We've got the thick pleats and the elements equally spaced. And still holding up fairly well, apart from the glue that holds this top cap on has failed, and as well as the silicone anti-drain back valve. It's just loose and just doesn't stay on there at all. It's got a fair amount of sludge in it because previous owners who owned my Blazers, the 4.3 TBI in it, never changed the oil, and running Mobli one in and it's cleaning it out. It's got lots of sludge in it. So I guess let's move on to the last filter. This is the big one. It's the Motorcraft FL1995, which is meant to be used on a 7.3 Powerstroke, but this came off my 7.3 IDI. It's a better filter than the stock IDI filter because it's bigger. It gives you an extra quart of oil capacity, and the filter capability is much better compared to the IDI filter. So that's why many people run these Powerstroke filters on their 7.3s and 6.9 IDIs. Now this filter, unlike the other filters, does not have a anti-drain back valve. That is because it's a very specific filter that is only used on the 7.3 Powerstroke and can be used on the 6.9 and 7.3 IDI, and it is mounted vertically like this on the side of the motor, so the anti-drain back valve is not necessary because the oil won't drain out of it because it's vertically. And it also does not have a bypass valve in it, as well as the Bosch. This is because the Chevy 4.3 TBI and the 7.3 IDI, they have internal bypass valves built into the engines, so it does not require a bypass valve in the oil filter. This Motorcraft filter, like all of them, we got the string on it. A good, solid, strong filter. I like it. It's what I've been using, so I'm going to keep using on my 7.3. It's got about 3,500 miles on it. Really clean inside as well, for considering this being a diesel. To puncture a hole in it to drain the oil when I did the oil change. I did hack it up getting it apart because it's a big filter, so all the junk in it and stuff is just for me cutting it open. Also, this 7.3 Powerstroke filter is the biggest oil filter you'd find on any light passenger truck. Just like a pickup truck, 350 or Excursion. All the other diesels are the same size, use smaller filters. This might cross-reference to some other international truck or something that uses a similar engine, because I know that the 7.3 liter Powerstroke, as well as the IDIs, came in certain delivery trucks and so on, because also the 6 liter and the 6.4 Powerstroke was used in other chassis apart from the, as well as the F series. For those of you that didn't know, that the 6.9 IDI, the 7.3 IDI, the 7.3, the 6 liter, and the 6.4 Powerstrokes, they're all made by Navistar International, apart from the 6.7 Powerstroke, which is the one you can buy today, which is built by Ford. It's Ford's first diesel engine. Also, here's the leaf spring that goes onto the bottom of this filter. It's the big 7.3 Powerstroke filter. It goes on the bottom like so. Then all of this goes in the can, and at the top that goes on. This is a massive filter compared to the other filters. This one's off a 4.5 liter V8. This one's off a lawnmower engine. It's not the correct filter, but it's the one I had on there. This is off a 4.3 liter V6 and stuff, a 7.3 liter diesel IDI. well, I guess that's it for my oil filter video. Thanks for watching.